Welcome to NocBro Nation.
Welcome back, guys, and look who's back.
Yes, I'm glad to be back from California. Missed the weather, but missed my family more. So definitely glad to be back and to be giving you a review of episode 7 of The Walking Dead Season 9.
Stradivarius, and this was directed by Michael Cutlitz, and what an amazing job he did, because this episode, a lot of people are saying it was, you could say it was a little filler episode. I mean, they're not going to go too crazy because we're going to build up to this mid-season finale, but it was really, really great. We got to see what Daryl's been up to. We got confirmation on Maggie's location, which we both predicted that anyway.
There was a video that we did on that, actually.
Yes, there was. We got a confirmation of a relationship that happened from the comics, which they confirmed about a ship that they confirmed about a week or so ago. And guess who is here, everybody?
The Whisperers. So
amazing stuff, guys.
What's really cool is we'll start off with Rosita, which we get no Eugene in this episode. Now, there was a funny a clip of the actor who portrays Eugene, I forgot his name, who figures that the episode where Michael Cutlitz is directing, Eugene is not in the episode.
Yeah, that was cool. So it was a really interesting because with Eugene being missing, that leads up to part of the synopsis in the mid-season finale. But Rosita is frantically running through the forest. She's trying to get away, and we're hearing all these whispers.
I think she awakes from being unconscious.
She wakes up before she hits the flare. Yeah, before she does the flare. Yeah. But she's running, and she eventually passes out, but you hear these voices, and they're like coming in all directions, and those are the whisperers. Like, I can't remember what all they said. A lot of them were like either like where is she, but try to find them,
or
something,
get them, or something like that. I don't remember what they were saying, but clearly they were whispering.
It was whispering. Yeah. So, we kind of get a nice little Fight Club moment. Jesus and Aaron, you see like Aaron just swoop into Jesus as he's on a horse, and they just start fighting.
I can't get over that. Cool. Gauntlet arm.
The gauntlet arm. Yeah. Somebody also mentioned he has a Jaime Lannister kind of Game of Thrones hand.
It literally looks like a gauntlet. I'm expecting him to go like this, and the stones light up.
Yeah.
Anyway, it turns out that Jesus has been training Aaron because they literally have a battle. Throwing punches. It was pretty awesome.
It was sweet.
They've been doing this for a while. Jesus, we'll get into this later, but finds times to leave the hilltop and go and train Aaron.
Yep. And so they're kind of just after the fight, they're talking about how, if Michonne knew Aaron was out there, she would be pissed. And if Tara knew Jesus was out there, she'd be kind of upset. And that almost made me think for the moment before we got into it. I was like, well, is Tara in charge? Because Michonne said in the last episode, we're going to go to the hilltop and talk to her, which is assuming Maggie was still in charge. So it was interesting.
They mentioned another thing that is mentioned numerous times throughout this episode. Like the showrunners of this show, they want to beat in this fact that there is a fair coming up. That fair is going to be occurring in the kingdom, and we'll get into this in depth, but the fair is going to be occurring in the kingdom.
Is it going to be in the kingdom in the show?
In the show.
Because it seems like they're wanting to have it at the hilltop.
Nope.
Yeah, it should still be in the show, or like it is in the comics, yeah.
In
the comics, it was Alexandria.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway, multiple times throughout this episode, the fair is mentioned.
Yeah.
So here is Jesus mentioning the fair to Aaron, and how it's a way to pull Michonne and Alexandria back into the community.
All the communities, because in different parts of this episode, we get the reveal that after this time jump, they have not been communicating with each other. There's been a big rift, especially between Michonne and Maggie, which we'll get into. But this fair, Jesus really wants this and wants Michonne on board to bring them back together.
Yeah, and the king does. More than does too, Jesus. But it is not the same as it was obviously when Rick was around. There is no trade. There's barely any communication, and we'll get into that when Michonne takes the crew. Let's. I just wanted to emphasize that is a main topic between Jesus and Aaron.
Yeah. So as they're talking, a flare goes up. Right before that's when Aaron mentions to Jesus that Michonne doesn't know about Maggie. And they go to where the flare location is, and it is actually Rosita. They find her. She says that she left Eugene. He's in a barn. They can't get to him right now because it's going to be dark, but he should be fine. And then that's when we find out later on Jesus is the leader of Hilltop. He's been reelected.
Which is funny because he's like, it's not that hard to get reelected when there's no one running against you.
Right. But the big thing from this is I love the pep talk from Tara. Tara explains to him, look, people are noticing you're leaving, but you have a duty, and these people need you. Maggie is gone. Maggie puts you in charge, and it's your responsibility to do what she wishes and to do your duty here.
And to Maggie.
Exactly. They need you here because he's reluctant on wanting to be leader, and that's why he's always kind of leaving, and people are noticing, and she's like, look, you have to stay here.
We know from this that Maggie did go with Georgie. And she is out with Georgie.
Predicted.
Doing different missions
in a community somewhere. Yeah. So which, we'll get into that later. It kind of sucks, but who knows what's going to happen. So, we'll say the next piece we'll get into Daryl.
Yep. So we start off that whole story at the kingdom, really, and that is not with Daryl, but with Henry. And Carol and the King Ezekiel. Essentially, Henry is their child. He calls them mother. He calls them father. And he wants to take up an apprenticeship with the blacksmith at the hilltop. That's how this all starts. So it's King Ezekiel saying, okay, King Ezekiel doesn't quite want to let go of Henry yet, but finally makes the decision, look, he's old enough. Carol, you take him to the hilltop, and that's how they are making their way to the hilltop before Carol says, you know what, I'm going to make a little side mission here. I'm going to take a reroute and visit Daryl. And really, it's a way for Carol to get Daryl to take Henry to the hilltop.
It's basically what her plan was. Yeah, she wants him to kind of chaperone him because Henry is an idealist like King, but that could be dangerous, and that she wants somebody who is, who sees things how they are, which is Daryl, to be able to put him back into place. So we get to see Daryl's camp. We get to see the dog, which he named it Dog. And thank you to the people out there who corrected me. It is not a German Shepherd. It is a Belgian Malinois, which is still part of the Shepherd family, but it's a Belgian Shepherd. And thank you very much. I'm not a major dog person, so I can't tell the breed.
Let's not get so precise here. It's a dog.
Well, it's a dog.
Yeah, no, I'm joking.
But so one interesting part is we get some idea of what Daryl's been up to. Daryl's been out there. The reason he went out there is that he's been searching for Rick.
Keep in mind, this is 5 to 6 years that he's been doing this.
He's been searching for Rick.
And the reason why he's searching for Rick is because he tells Carol, look, I know you think that I've been searching for him, but you have to admit, there is no body. We found no body.
So, but then he's like, since I was out here, I just stayed out here. It's peaceful. It's nice. And you kind of get back to Daryl's roots of, he's a hunter. He's a tracker. He likes, being out in that world. So it was really good. Now, this interesting part comes up is, Henry asked Daryl, he's like, well, how'd you get that scar, right? And I'm like, what scar? I was like, is it the scar on his face? I don't know. I mean, there was a scar on his face, whatever. But it wasn't until after the night thing. So the dog goes out. He goes out and checks traps that Daryl has set for walkers. Now the dog gets caught in a trap, and Daryl goes out there to help him, but Henry goes behind him. And let me ask you guys this and you this. So in the end, they free the dog. Henry helps. Carol is in the bushes with the bow, like watching. Do you think she set that up? Because Daryl even said the dog. This is the first time the dog has ever gotten caught in a trap. Now the dog was caught in there was 2 nooses around its neck.
Yeah, I do.
Do you think Carol set that up? Because it seemed like she was watching. I think she was doing it to see if Henry would go and if they would work together. That's my theory. I don't know.
I agree with you. I think that she did set that up as a way to get Daryl to bond with Henry. Like, she knows what type of kid Henry is. Yeah. She just needs Daryl to see it.
Because he did tell Henry, like, stay here, don't help me. But in the end, Henry actually saved his life.
And save the dogs, probably.
Yeah, and save the dogs. So that's what got me. I was like, why is she standing in the bushes like that? She could have heard commotion, but then I was like, did she set that up?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing out of this is the scar. We saw in the previous episode, not last episode, I think the episode before, Michonne had a scar.
It's this episode.
Of an X.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Michonne, I think either last episode or the previous episode. So the X it has to do with something because they're showing it.
Well, obviously, yeah. They're making us, fixate on that particular. And it's like product placement. Like they put it there for us to see it. Yeah.
So in the end, Daryl does agree to go to the hilltop, and they're going to be making their way. So the rest. What?
Are we missing something from that?
No, there wasn't much conversation.
Okay.
It was
Sorry. Let's pick it back up.
There wasn't much conversation with it. So the rest of it is pretty much with Magna's group and Michonne leading them towards the hilltop. I gotta say, I love how everyone in Magna's group has learned sign language to communicate with Tom.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
The way that they communicate with each other is just amazing. Like, they were kind of talking, Magna's pretty pissed because she wants her knives back. She wants their weapons. Kelly was kind of talking. She heard the one guy listening, and then they started doing sign language again. So it's like their biggest thing is they're trying to tell Magna, just calm down.
Yeah,
we're going somewhere safe. We're fine.
Magna does not trust this group.
Neither does Michonne.
Yeah.
She likes them. Well, Sadiq says, you do like them. She's like, well, I don't really trust them. Or still don't trust them yet.
I can't stand that. That is my biggest pet peeve about this is Michonne's inability to trust this new group after multiple times they've shown her that they can be trusted.
Right.
One of the biggest ones was when Magna brought the knife to her doorstep and said, you forgot one. Mm-hmm. She didn't have to do that.
No, she didn't. So it's something with this time jump that we don't have the information on that has made Michonne very cautious.
And I'm loving Luke's character.
Luke is cool.
Yeah.
Luke is cool. So where they're going right now is back to their trailer, the iconic red trailer from the comics. So they're going back to where they were. It was overrun by walkers. They're seeing familiar faces. They're talking about Bernie, the one guy that they lost, and they're picking up supplies.
What was cool
and their weapons.
What was cool about the Bernie story is that Bernie was the type that always wore this just ridiculous shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And it pissed Magna off so much so that he knew it pissed her off, and he wore the shirt for 3 weeks straight just to get at Magna. I mean, and it was a story that really had shown that this group, and Luke was explaining this, if they had met in a restaurant, would never sit at the same table together. Right. But because they were in these situations together of being in the apocalypse, they grew together, and they grew stronger and got to know each other more, obviously being in that group.
Yeah. And so this is where we get the information on why the communication and the strain between the communities is Michonne said that she was only coming here to check their story out, because Magna said they were being overrun by walkers. She wanted to check their story out. So they made it. Everything's cool. Now she wants to turn around and go back to Alexandria and not go with them to Hilltop. She wants Sadiq and I forgot the big guy's name to take them.
Well, and this is the interesting thing.
And Magna was pissed. They're like, what? You're not going to come with us now?
Yeah, and here's another revelation on that is because Magna's, like you were saying, she's pissed off. She's like, you're saying to trust you and that we'll be safe, but you're taking us to a community that you haven't been to in a while, and you have no idea if it's still even stable because Michonne says, I haven't been there in a while,
and
you'll be safe.
Right, because she doesn't know about Maggie. She still thinks Maggie is there, and their relationship, something happened, and they have friction, so she doesn't go there anymore. So yeah, so that I love that piece of it just because of Magna is just calling Michonne out on what's real. Hey, really? You're not going to come the rest of the way? All right, whatever. So they do have to get holed up for the night, and they go to this building. And if you guys didn't know what a Stradivarius was, it's a type of violin. So everyone's sleeping.
Oh, this was brutal.
Michonne hears a noise. She sees Luke standing there, and because of her distrust, she thinks it's a weapon. He turns around. She slices it, and she slices a beautiful Stradivarius. And the rest, like Magna's group, were laughing at Luke because he's like explaining what it is, and they like finish his sentence. It's a 1920 circa Stradivarius. Like,
so
I love
he loves to restore vintage instruments, and he goes into
he keeps them.
He keeps them, and he goes into an amazing speech of how the early humans, while thought to have destroyed
the Neanderthals
through war, it really was because of their innovative methods like music and song and their closeness to each other, eventually gaining more people through that communication, allowing them to defeat the Neanderthals. And one of those key things was song, communication, music. It was cool.
It was really cool. And this is where we get the relationship. Magna and Yumiko are in a relationship exactly like they're in the comics. In the show is a little hint. Yumiko has her head on Magna's lap. Magna gives kind of like a nice little gesture on her cheek. But it was confirmed like about a week before the episode that the relationship from the comics is there. This is where Siddiq tells Michonne that Maggie is not at the hilltop. Doesn't go into detail just yet. That's because the herd is coming. And they got to get out of there. And as they do, they realize...
Isn't that cool how... Was it Connie, the deaf person?
Yeah, she was putting her hand...
She feels the ground because if you are not aware, if you lose a sense, other senses become more heightened.
Right.
So she feels vibration a lot more than others would. So she's like down on the ground.
And they're looking at her and they're like, something's up. And then the one big guy comes in, he's like, herd, we gotta go. So as they're getting out and they're trying to fight, this is where Magna is like, look, we need our weapons. We're getting overrun. She finally gives them their weapons back, and this group can fight, like
slingshots.
Yumiko was awesome with a bow. So this is where they mentioned that this is not a different herd. This is the same herd. And we see Bernie.
Yep.
We see Bernie, whose guts have been torn into. He's been turned.
He's fresh.
He's got the shirt.
And he's got the shirt. Yeah. And boy, man, the look on Magna's face. She's just torn apart.
And you could tell if this was a close-knit family.
Very close. But you got the sense that what happened to Bernie happened so quickly,
so fast
that
they didn't have time.
They didn't have time to say their goodbyes. They just had to go, and it was probably the scene that Judith rescues them.
Yeah.
But here it is for the first time they're seeing Bernie again.
And I loved that Michonne saw this, and she thought at first one of them was going to take him down. Magna and Yumiko couldn't, and actually Michonne did it very respectably.
Very respectfully. Like she could have easily shoved that sword through his face, and that's the first thing that I noticed is she quietly and slowly put him down.
Because you see him, and then he just kind of slowly dies, and then she lays him down.
Great scene.
Because she understands.
Yeah, great scene.
She understood. And
earlier she even says to Magna and them, I know how it feels. I've lost people
when they were talking about Bernie. Yeah. So I love that. It's kind of Michonne's walls are kind of starting to come down a little bit. She's kind of starting to trust them. So then they get back on the road, and that's when Michonne asks Siddiq, where's Maggie? And he says she's with Georgie, helping a community somewhere far. Don't know how far. But even it seemed like Siddiq doesn't really know where they are, where she is. She just knows it's somewhere far.
He did mention that they were helping grow another community.
Yep.
But that's about it.
That's all.
And then
the Hilltop
Riders.
That's
when she did. Yeah, the Hilltop Riders arrive. They say, we have one of your Alexandrians, Rosita.
Yep.
And that's when Michonne decides to go to the Hilltop.
She says, tell Alexandria we're going to the Hilltop. We're fine. So the Riders, go on, and that's where they go. But before the end of that, Connie sees something, and she's looking around, and they're asking Connie, "What are you looking at? What do you see?" And
she sees through the forest.
She sees through the forest, and she ends up not seeing anything. But
we get that first person,
as the cart's going away, you see first person. They're being watched.
Yes,
the Whisperers, guys. They're so here. The next episode is going to be so sweet. So. Pretty much the end of the episode is Carol, Henry, and Daryl arrive at the Hilltop. Tara sees them. They're being greeted pretty cool. And this is where Aaron comes up to Daryl and says, Rosita's fine. Eugene is out there. We're going to go look for him. We'd love to have you come along. We need a good tracker. You know, you're a good tracker.
Yep. And he agrees, obviously.
He agrees. And then this is where Jesus wants to go too. And Tara's like, fine. Like, I'll be here and keep things in order or whatever. So it seems like Tara is kind of second in command.
Yep.
With Jesus. And they make their way out. And I was telling him, like, if you watch as they leave, and how working with animals would be a big task. Like, you see the dog just running on the road. You see the dog leave Hilltop. It's running on the road, takes the curtain. It's just cool.
Yeah,
I thought it was a high drone shot.
Cutlass did say that there was some issues working with the dog.
Oh, of course, a dog's gonna.
It's a dog.
It's a dog.
But yeah, it was really cool to hear him talk on The Talking Dead. Check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, it was a really good episode. Like you said, it felt like there was a lot of filler in there.
Yeah.
But literally, I think every episode, and we've said this before, has felt like a premiere.
It has.
And this one kind of not so much, but still really good episode, solid episode.
I actually thought, the opening, it almost felt like a premiere.
Yeah.
Like, just how it was kind of that shaky, kind of first person camera view of somebody running and trying to get away. I thought it was cool. It reminded me of, what was that stupid Woods movie? The kids were
Blair Witch?
Yeah. I kind of got a Blair Witch vibe for some odd reason. I don't know why.
That'll be The Whisperers.
Oh, dude, you guys have no idea. Stay tuned for our predictions.
Those of you that do not know about The Whisperers, you have no idea. And honestly, guys, let us know what you thought of this episode. Stradivarius, it was amazing. Can't wait for the mid-season finale.
Yeah, so stay tuned for our predictions for the mid-season finale. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. Give the video a quick like. Help support the series and the channel. And we'll see you next time. We're NocBro Nation.
We're out.